Hey, 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 welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. Got my friend here, Ed Pacheco, an author of Little Lamb Shenanigans. And no, there's one thing that I'm never going to let a story slip by me. I'm going to always try to get something out there for the listeners and viewers and actually kind of talk to, the people in our community and that are being, or doing things that are inspiring others. And definitely this book is an inspiration. And my good friend, Ed Pacheco, good man, local businessman, he's definitely doing his thing. And I'm very fortunate to have him as a friend and now a guest on the Really Charlie podcast. Hi, Ed. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Charlie. Thanks very much. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's snowing. I mean, what else is new, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
thanks so much
New
for
England.
it's there are three things that are definitive in New England. Death, taxes, and snow in February, and
Exactly.
you can't get away from any of them. It's just the way it is. But
So true.
thanks so much for having me on here tonight. I appreciate it. It's good to see you.
I I was and it just so happens I seen your picture on Facebook and I said, that's right, Ed wrote a book. I said, let me reach out to him and see if we can do something. And I'm glad it happened, and it happened pretty quickly. So
Yeah,
it
no, I like how it just sometimes timing is everything. So like I say, I appreciate you reaching out and allowing us on tonight to kind of talk about the book. This has been a labor of love that started by accident. It's a very personal project for me because it's actually based on a song that I used to sing to my kids at night. As you know, I have four daughters, uh, and two more by marriage.
Mhm.
So six daughters. The two latter didn't get the full experience of Little Lamb because they were older when my wife and I met and got married. But the four others have had the Little Lamb experience. Um, and I started this um, about 20 years ago. Just kind of pencil down an idea here, pencil down an idea there, and put it away. Forget about it. Life happens, work happens. You start a company, you work on education, you have children, then you have another child, then you have another child, and it all kind of just spirals off from there. But every now and again, I pick it back up and put it down. And it was in earnest, 20, late 2018, mid 2019, that I really got to finishing it off into what we are going to be seeing as Little Lamb Shenanigans. And it's been interesting as a first time author, and as a dad, wanting to keep the line so that it wasn't a commercial piece of children's work, but rather something that I would want to read and essentially did read to my own children.
Mhm.
Um, it was important to me after doing it this long and having some skin in the game, if you will. I wanted to make sure that I really nailed this project. So it was really when my youngest daughter, who at the time was about 11, she was going out of elementary school into middle school. And it's kind of that little pre leaving the nest kind of
Mhm.
jolt that you get when your children grow up. That kind of shocked me into the reality of my babies weren't babies anymore. Um,
Yes.
in reality, my oldest is going to be 25 this year, and she's actually getting married. She graduated from college. She has a great career. Her fiance is a really nice guy who I
Well,
like.
congratulations.
Yeah. It's all those daughters. It's finally nice to have a son in the pack. But my other daughter is 21. She's a junior at Johnson and Wales University. She's studying to do baking and pastry. She has a really great skill set with that. And then my third daughter is 18. She's going to graduate this year, go off to UMass Dartmouth to study biology. And then the last of the original pack is going to be 13 in May. And then my wife's daughters, who are now my daughters as well, one is going to be a junior in college, and the other one is 13 now, and actually goes to school with my youngest daughter. So
Wow.
I am surrounded.
Well, just because this is but I know the feeling because we had 4 girls in my family, between my wife and the daughters, and guess what? It was eventful. But we got them growing pains, but you know what? The best thing ever is being a girl dad.
It is.
My step,
It is.
yeah, I know they're all grown and they got their own little nest. They're creating their own families. They got 6 grandchildren, so they they definitely made me blessed. They made me blessed by and I'm enjoying it very much. So
there is something to your point of being a girl dad. It's special, man. With my girls, fathers and daughters, they'll walk in the house, and my daughters, they walk in the house, and first things that you'd usually hear is, "Oh, where's Dad?" Their mother could be laying on the ground, and they just kind of step over and, "Well, where's Dad?" But I know that as I get older, there's a really better than average chance that I'll never have to go into a nursing home because somebody will always want to bring Dad along,
exactly,
and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. So
I mean, as you know, and I wrote a few books, and I enjoyed it. Total around 15. I have some on the shelf. And the best thing about writing a book is that your family will always have a hard copy of your thoughts, your story, whatever it may be. It's always something that could be passed on to the next person, next generation, and to say, hey, Daddy did this. Oh, hey, Papa did this. And it's good. It's so good. And I hope, I won't get into that right now, but what inspired you?
Like I say, it started out as a vanity project. I wanted to leave something for my children to remember from their childhood, that it was something that was pure, that they could have a pleasant memory about, and that potentially they could share one day with maybe my grandchildren if I'm blessed to have them. And it was out of that vanity that I really started working on this. I had no intention of ever going anywhere beyond putting this to paper, maybe getting a couple of drawings put together and giving it to them, maybe as a special gift or something, just as a treat for them. And as you know, once you start putting pen to paper and you start thinking about different ideas and different concepts, it goes to, oh, thank you so much. It goes beyond that. It grows very quickly. So, for me, the biggest obstacle wasn't writing the book. It was moving it along to the process where it could be shared with the general public. Exactly. As you know, The
No shit.
publishing portion of books is tremendously intensive, particularly if you've never done it before.
Yes.
I was fortunate. I don't know if you're a member, but I found an organization called the IBPA, the Independent Book Publishing Association.
Yes.
And I joined it as a member, and I'll tell you, it was one of the best choices I had ever made. Because through that, now you know you made it when your mother comments on your stream there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm just oh, thank you very much. It's the fact that she was able to find this on Facebook. I'm super proud of her. But it's I was able to make some important contacts that I think saved me a lot of time and a lot of trouble through being a member with the IBPA. And one of them was a gentleman named Eddie Vincent. Eddie is the publisher from Encircle Publications, and he's really been a very useful resource for me. And through him, I met an illustrator, very talented woman out of Texas, who he had worked with before, named Christina Young. And the first time I spoke with her, as you know, when you write a book, you have a very clear vision of what it is you see this book looking like. You can, for me in particular, the characters in this book were all very personal to me because they all share different qualities of each of my children.
Yes.
So when I take those qualities and I put them together in a character, I had a very clear picture of what it was that I was looking for. And I spoke with Christina, and the timing was just super bad. And she said, at the time she was at her house, I believe it was in France or something like that. This was pre-COVID. And we couldn't come to terms working together. And so I said, I'm going to sit on this for a bit. And I put it away because for me, it was more important to get what I saw as the vision for the book rather than just settling and having a product that I wasn't happy with. I've gone 20 years into this project. Why am I going to run it on, rush it on fourth and inches here? So I did interview a couple of other illustrators. I had tried some through an app called Fiverr and got very mixed results. I was working with one young lady who she just didn't get the vision. No matter what I did, no matter how I explained it, we would go back to the drawing board, back to the drawing board, back to the drawing board. And she just wasn't able to get that vision that I was looking for. So I parted company with her about 2 or 3 months into it. And in truth, we really didn't lose any work because much wasn't done in that time, which was part of the problem. And then COVID hit. And it was April of 2020. I had just gotten back from dropping my second oldest daughter off at Disney World, where she was going to be doing an internship with Disney in their baking and pastry, working for Epcot. And she was very proud. She was one of 10 kids, I believe, selected from the school to go down to Disney World and learn the Disney way. She was actually going to be working in the city or the kitchens underneath Epcot, producing the goods that come up to the store, the restaurants and cafes. But unfortunately, she was only there about a week, and Disney shut down and sent all of the kids home. So, but when she came home, I said, just on a whim, I'm going to try and reach out to Ms. Young again.
Mhm.
So I sent her a very casual email saying, hey, Ed Pacheco, we spoke about a year and a half ago. Just wanted to touch base, see where you're at, and, if you would like to have a conversation. And she wrote me back and, she said, I actually do not have a project right now. And actually, I was thinking of you and your project. Let's talk. So we did. And we started working, kicking back and forth ideas. And when you sync with another professional,
Yeah.
and when you get that sync and you're getting that exchange, that you're able to bounce ideas off of each other. Now, mind you, I've had 2 phone conversations with Miss Young in a year and a half. Everything that we were able to accomplish were through email and Dropbox, and we would just there was just that sync there. Like, she could read my mind, she could get the visualization, and she would send me this raw work, and I would say, this looks great. This needs to be changed. This needs to be a little bit lighter. Let's change this feature. The cat is not fluffy enough. It's those little details, stuff that I wouldn't even have thought of, that she was able to translate into pictures, into art, really brought this book to a whole different level, like beyond what I could even imagine. So to have that professional sync was really special. It really made the process a really enjoyable process. And
I experienced that with Alvin Ramis and Terrence Lopes. They did my illustrations, and the one thing about it is that they were just knew what I was talking about, only because we actually been in the same places, as children, down the South End, and so they can kind of vision just what I'm envisioning. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we fast forward about a year, and we just finished for the most part, the illustration portions of the book just around the end of the holiday season, 2020. And now at this point, I'm looking at my friend and my mentor over at Encircle Publishing, Eddie Vincent. And thank you so much. Eddie and I are working now on the portion of putting it all together. And I'll tell you folks, and Charlie, you already know this, even the smallest detail, when you're this invested in a project, what typeset you're going to use in your book. Is a child going to be able to read this? Are adults who are reading this to them while they're in bed, maybe the lights are a little dim, they're trying to create that zone. Although I will tell you, and we actually have a disclaimer at the front of the book, this is an bedtime story, okay? So if you read your child this story, and they will not go to bed right away, I have warned you in advance right at the front of the book. And actually, we're doing something a little bit different with the format of the book. Typically, when you get a book, you will see all of the credits at the front of the book. So you see the author's page, the publisher's page, dedications, all the fluff that the publishers require. When you're doing your own publication, you can rewrite the rules. And for me, the young reader, or the parent that's trying to get their children to bed, does not want to have to sort through 4 pages before they get to the meat and potatoes. What we're doing is we're actually taking all of those pieces and we're putting them at the back of the book.
Okay.
So that as soon as you open the book, first pages, you're there. You're already getting into the zone.
Yeah.
You know, the warning, which actually, if you go on to our Facebook page, which is The Real Ed Pacheco,
Mm-hmm.
on our background, that's the first page that the reader and the children will see. And it's this little fluffy lamb looking creature kind of sleeping. And there's a big, warning sign across it, really fun. And it says, warning, big letters, warning right there. This book is not for serious bedtimes. This book is for giggles and shenanigans before bedtime. User discretion is advised. So that kind of tells you right there what we're going to be, doing with this book. But
you get a 5 stars for that, as far as I'm concerned.
well, I really, a lot of people when they think bedtime story, growing up, and I actually put this on the page earlier for about a week or two ago. I asked a question of my followers: what was your favorite bedtime story when you were growing up? And some people wrote like Robinson Crusoe and The Giving Tree and Goodnight Moon. Goodnight Moon, I used to read to my children. What a great book. Totally puts you in the zone for that young reader. Or even like the Shel Silverstein books. This is not going to inherently make your child want to go to sleep. It's going to, if it's read right, and you don't mind a little craziness, there's going to be some giggling, there's going to be some laughing, and probably I need some water after because I'm hot. Now I have to go to the bathroom because I drank water. That's the kind of book this is.
Well,
but
on that note, why don't we read a couple of pages?
Oh, you want to read a couple of pages? All right. We can do that. I actually have the unfinished script here. So we'll start it out. Again, warning. This book is not for serious bedtimes. This book is for giggles and shenanigans before bedtime. User discretion is advised. So there you go. There's some FX warnings. It's like that guy that comes on before FX TV whenever they put one of their shows on. User discretion is advised.
You should go into production, man. Get that
one project at a time. Project at a time. All right. So every child has a certain way they get ready for bed at night. For some children, before bedtime, they take a bath or a shower and floss and brush their teeth. Some may spend quiet time listening to music or saying their prayers. Others just race right to bed after they've been told 10 times that it's past their bedtime. However, it is almost a universal fact that most girls and boys love a bedtime story and to be tucked in. Wow. I used to love it. I loved being tucked in at night. Who doesn't? What child doesn't love, that feeling of safety and just being by, having your parent or grandparent or whoever their caretaker is, giving them that last sign of affection before they go to sleep at night. That sets the tone, man. I'll tell you. And I mean, my girls, sometimes it was 45 minutes to get everybody into bed. But you got to put the work in. It makes the difference. But let's go one more.
All right.
So this is a story about a little girl named Jenna Marie. During the day, Jenna is your usual little girl. She gets up in the morning, eats breakfast, gets dressed, and even makes her own lunch before leaving for school. That's pretty impressive for only being 9 years old. So, Jenna Marie is our main character. She is the heroine of the story.
I love that.
And you know what? I'm going to give you one more page. How
All
about
right.
that?
Yeah, the boss.
All right. So when she does go to school, she's an incredibly smart little girl. She loves to read and write and sing. She is a whiz at math and science. And during gym class, she is one of the fastest runners in the whole school.
Love
it. We're really, building on this character. And when I say Jenna Marie is a compilation of all of my I like that. That's funny. One of the writers just said that Jenna should teach her 18 and 20-year-olds.
Exactly.
But
Susan's a good mom.
Yeah. All of these, there's these little character pieces or nuances that I was able to pull out of each of my children to create Jenna Marie, right down even to like her physical details. If Jenna Marie was a live, real person, she would probably be the 7th Pacheco daughter. And not that I need a 7th daughter. I mean, with 6, your hands are full already. But I'm already, outweighed to 6-1 in this house. They keep asking me for an animal, and I'm like, no, because chances are that would be a female too. I mean, but we all, of all of the things in life that I could have had, that is the least burdensome experience, is being surrounded by so many wonderful women. They really are. From my wife down to my youngest daughter, they're all incredible. There are days where they want to make me pull what little hair I have left out. But for the most part, I'll tell you, I'm a very lucky man. Very lucky man. But I got blessed.
Blessings.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, so, and the nice thing, the pictures that Christina was able to put together to match along with these stories are just so I can't say how amazing they really are. She really put so much detail into it, right down to like things that I didn't even think of. So for example, like in one of the pictures, Jenna Marie is there feeding her pet cat. And if you look really closely at the bowl that the cat eats out of, his name is etched into the bowl. Like, it's that degree of detail that she was able to capitalize on. But I'm not going to tell you the name of the cat, because there are people that are watching that it's an homage to, and I don't want it to get out. So there are little things that are very personal that I have hidden. Hello, Miss Gail. Thanks for watching.
My auntie, love her.
You have a great night as well. Thank you for dialing in. Feel free to follow us if you're not already. It's The Real Ed Pacheco on Facebook as well as on Instagram. So, but it's that level of detail. I'm sorry, say again.
Susan will follow. She's definitely she's definitely going to follow you from this point on, and
that'll be great.
Just trying to put the website. There it is.
So, funny story about the name, because we've had a couple of people ask me about the publishing company name, Fuzzy Bear Press. I was speaking with Encircle, which is our kind of guiding partner publishing with the gentleman I mentioned earlier, Eddie Vincent. And he says, you need to have a really good name that doesn't cut things off for you for this book, because you don't know, this could, and I originally, when I first started writing this, I would have never thought that it would be like perhaps a series. I thought, one and done. And now I'm faced with the idea of, how do I run with the idea of the further adventures of Jenna Marie? Because there's so many things that I can do with the character that I'm strongly considering, depending on how the first book does, bringing it into a series. But it's just the name of the publishing company is Fuzzy Bear Press, and I mentioned it to you before we started recording. My kids used to call me either Mr. Bear or Mr. Fuzzy Bear, depending on whatever mood they were in. In our house, everyone has a minimum of at least 2 or 3 nicknames that we use shamelessly out in public. They're, for the longest time, some of my friends didn't even know what my youngest daughter's name was because I called her by so many of her other nicknames. One day I was actually with them playing cribbage, and I said, "Oh, MJ, Marissa said blah, 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 blah." And they looked at me dead faced, like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's the baby." "Oh, the baby. Okay. Yeah. So that's how the company name came around, which is the Fuzzy Bear Press. But, that website is actually being worked on now. One of the gentlemen that I've worked with before, Jeff Watton, is putting our website together there. I saw somebody ask about when the book is actually going to be available. The book, as it stands right now, is going to be available for purchase July 1st on both Amazon and Ingram Sparks. We may speed that up depending on what happens in post-production. As you know, things come up. You have to make changes. At this point, I'm so invested in this book, I do not want to just rush it when we're fourth and inches. It's got to be the way I want it, or it's not worth doing at this point. So we're setting a benchmark for July 1st. But if we release it earlier, we will announce it on our page, which is the Real Ed Pacheco, on both Facebook and on Instagram. And I would try to give people at least a couple of weeks notice. And then we would encourage everyone, as you know, with Amazon, the more copies you sell quickly, the higher you go up in their rating system. And it makes things a lot easier for you as a writer. So I would love to be able to get a bestseller label out of this. We are definitely looking at possible pre-orders through Amazon.
Okay, good.
So
good.
Yeah. Now,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Charlie. No, go ahead.
What I recommend is going down to the city library and put your book on their list. They purchase books, and they won't know about your book unless you kind of let them know. And just the bits and pieces that I have now, this would be great for that children's section down on the first floor of the main library, or any library in the city, any library in the country, actually. So
what we're going to do is, because with Amazon, as you know, when they're pricing this out, and for those of you at home, that if you've never written a book before, and Charlie can attest to this, there is not a huge markup on the cost of what it takes to produce the book to what the author actually makes. Most of the time, the people that are printing these actual books can take anywhere up to like 70%, 75% of what the actual price on the book is. So it leaves a tiny bit for the author and a lot of bit for the printer.
There's an old story. I'm going to tell you this real quick.
Go ahead.
That if you make a comparison between a pizza delivery guy and an author, is that a pizza delivery guy can always bring a meal home every day.
Well, fortunately, I'm not doing this for a meal. Someone just asked if we're going to do a book signing. Right now, we're not sure how, because with COVID restrictions, there aren't a lot of places that will allow that type of thing with occupancy numbers and what have you. One of the things that we are floating is doing a virtual book reading, something similar to this, only where we would read the entire book. You could bring your child, your grandchild, grandchildren, niece, nephew, godchild, yourself. We would sell you a code, and for the price of the code, you would not only be able to do the reading with me, but you would also get a copy of the book, which I could sign or personalize for you. And to keep it a little more personable, what we would probably do is do those in small groups of, say, maybe 30 or 40 people. Because thank you, Jen, I appreciate that. Because if you start doing larger groups than, say 30 or 40 people, you kind of lose that personal intimacy where if, somebody wants to ask a question, it's harder to keep up with, the flow on what they're asking you or what have you. But, fortunately, we still have about 4 or 5 months to work out those logistics. With vaccinations happening, and if people with social distancing and wearing their masks, who knows what this summer could look like. We could possibly do a pop-up at, like an outdoor like market or something like that, a farmer's market or, something like that. But the quickest way as it is right now to get just a book would be to order it on Amazon or Ingram Sparks. Now, to your point with the libraries, we're going to actually take a little bit of a different step with this release process. So the first thing we're doing is to kind of capitalize on the book itself, is we're releasing directly to Amazon and Ingram Sparks first to kind of fix that percentage that we were talking about earlier. So we're going to actually exclude the libraries and the schools at first. Okay. Then once we do, after a couple of months pass, we're going to change things around a little bit. And when we get ready to release the hard copy, because we're actually going to put this out in a hard copy as well. The first release is going to be soft copy. Then we're going to do a hard copy. We're shooting for right now, because there's such a demand, particularly in schools like Head Start, where you have a lot of Spanish-speaking families. We're actually trying to get a Spanish-speaking version of the book translation done. So Little Lamb Shenanigans soft copy would be released in both English and Spanish. And because there are a lot of families, particularly here just in the southeast corner of Massachusetts, that mom or dad's primary language is Spanish. And, we want them to have the benefit of being able to read a bedtime story to their children, just like anyone else. And the initial conversation we've had with the translator who does this for a living is 99% of the book translates well into Spanish. Yeah. Sometimes you have that little bit of a delay with some of the wording, but most of this is translating well in premise. So Thank you. Yeah. We're hoping it is beneficial. So the plan is we're going to release the soft copy English, soft copy in Spanish, hard copy English and Spanish a couple of months down the road. And then ultimately, we're going to do digital. So you can download the books to Kindle or what have you.
True. Yeah.
So,
And Megan took the words right out of my mouth. Love the diversity, and it's very important, especially when you're trying to reach a broader audience. And like you said, you want to read a story to your kids, and English or Spanish may be the only language that you can actually get that book read to a kid. So I I I'm really excited about this. And one thing I want to like with your illustrator, you come up with this brainstorm and it's yours. What you actually do is you actually, by getting an illustrator, now it becomes theirs also because of what they've done in the book. And so what you're doing is you're making two people happy just based on what you're doing, with your idea. And it's that's one thing I like about with books. And I have a few on the shelf, and a lot got to do with a lot of my childhood experiences and childhood friends, and I can't wait to get those out. And
I think being able to draw from personal experience really adds that different dimension to the book, especially if it's a pleasant experience. Like one of my best memories growing up was having a bedtime story read to me on occasion, being tucked in. That sets the tone of how you go to sleep when you're a child. And if you can do that, or that's great. If you can't do it, it doesn't mean you're a bad adult. It just everybody's circumstance is different. But for me as a child, that's one of the memories that I hang on to, and I tried to give that same memory to my kids. And when my oldest daughter, who's getting married, heard about the book, she stopped. I was in my office here where I am now, and she was over by the doorway, and I said, Dad's finishing the book about the Little Lamb song. And she got this kind of sheepish look on her face, and she stepped back a bit into the hallway, and her fiance was behind her. And she's only about 5'5". He's about 6'3", 6'4". And she looked at me and she's like, "Oh, that damn story. I used to laugh so much and Mom would get mad. You know how many times we got in trouble for that?" And I'm like, "That's okay. I took the bullet. It's fine. It's fine." But I'm like, "You want me to still do it?" She's like, "No, no, 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 no." So, but you know what? I know as a parent, as a parent, and unfortunately as someone who was able to put the pen to paper, this is one of my gifts to my children that they will remember for the rest of their lives. And that, to your point, they'll be able to share perhaps one day with grandchildren. But now it's become even larger than that, because now it's not just a gift that I can share with my children, but a gift that I can share with other people's children and other families.
So true.
That perhaps they can start their own traditions from. I actually we tested the book out with a couple of kids, and the review on it from them, kid tested, was very positive. We advanced a copy of the manuscript to a couple of people. One of them is a school teacher who teaches elementary. I won't use her name at this point. I'm still waiting for the final review to come back. But I actually just got this evening while we were getting set up, and I read it to you, but I'm going to share it with the readers, just to kind of give them an idea of what it is that we're talking about here. And I really like this review not only because it didn't destroy me and my ego coming out of the gate, but I really feel like, and she's a grandmother, so she was writing this from a grandmother's perspective as well. She wrote, in Ed Pacheco's debut children's book, Little Lamb Shenanigans, a young girl struggles to get to bed each evening. She learns along the way how to solve her problem with a little help from her family, that's essentially what the basis of the story is.
Yes.
This sweet story focuses on a common theme for many families: getting the kids to bed. Anybody that's ever had children knows, unless you have, Saint Mother Teresa as a 4-year-old, that child is not going to bed right away most nights. There's I forgot to brush my teeth. I forgot to maybe say my prayers. I'm thirsty. I need water. I gotta go pee. Oh, my blankets came off. My feet are cold. I need socks. Oh, my feet are hot. I gotta take my socks off. I mean, there's 1,000 we've heard them all.
I didn't kiss mommy. I didn't kiss daddy.
I didn't kiss daddy. I didn't kiss grandma, grandpa. I can't find my bear. Have you seen my bear? I can't tell you how many times I had to go hunting for my daughter's stuffed rabbit, Bunny, because if Bunny wasn't with her, she would not sleep. This rabbit was in such rough shape. She had a hole in its ear from where she used to hook her finger into the ear and drag this rabbit around with her everywhere.
Yeah.
I actually asked her not long ago, I said, "You still have Bunny?" And she's like, I'm embarrassed to say, I think he's in a box somewhere.
Exactly.
In the attic at my house. But so her review, basically goes on and says, it explores family traditions, how families help one another. This story would make a wonderful and ultimately fun bedtime story. That sentence right there tells me mission accomplished, because that's what I was looking to do.
Yep.
This story is heartwarming, will make you smile. And then, this is kind of where, I knew I hit it right. I would truly recommend this story if you have little ones in your life who need a bit of help reaching slumberland.
Yes.
I was just, wow.
Yeah, that's definitely, that's advertisement right there. You kind of put that in quotes and put it on a 12 by 14 board on during your book signing. Just have it sitting off to the side, and you know what? That speaks volumes. That totally speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I
know we're about. Someone actually wrote, even my teens have that issue. Well, maybe if you buy a copy of the book, I can autograph it to them. And maybe if you try reading it to them at night, they will go to sleep after you're done.
Exactly.
But I don't know how much luck you'll have with that, because my 18-year-old, if I get up at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, there are times where I have to go in and tell her, "Hey, listen, you got school in 5 hours." "Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I don't need to go to sleep. It's fine."
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it is.
I know we've gone about 45 minutes. We've got about 10 minutes left on the show.
Yeah.
If anybody that's still on has any questions that I can answer, I don't have a problem with doing like a little Q&A, as long as I don't have to give away too much more about the book. But
so true.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, it's such a blessing. This experience has been so enjoyable. There were times where I was wondering if it would actually get done, and now where we're kind of on that 20-yard line or so, and things are moving along well. You can kind of see that finish line. It makes it special, but it really does.
Well, here's your first question here.
Okay, how many characters? All right, so the main character of the story, as I mentioned, is Jenna Marie. She's kind of our heroine slash girl of conflict with the problem. And Jenna Marie has her grandmother and grandfather who were there with her in the story. There's their cat, or I should say her cat, mom and dad, and she has two older sisters. And then there's some kind of assorted background friends who really don't have a storyline in this book. Notice what I did there? It's not this book. Could be a storyline in the next. Target age group, I would say young, maybe up till about 10, 11 years old. It's funny because the book is written where when they're super little, someone's going to be reading this to them, but it's the kind of book as they get older and they start reading, and doing those sight words, the first grade, second grade level, going into third, fourth grade, where they'll start reading it to you. And then you may very well be on the receiving end of some of the shenanigans in the book, instead of being the one that's handing out the shenanigans. So, sure. I would say if you're reading your child, if you're comfortable with reading your child a book at night before they go to bed, read the book. It doesn't matter how old they are, but up to about 10 or 11 years old is probably that prime mark where they get to the point where, oh, I'm too old for you to tuck me in. Oh, don't kiss me goodnight. I need privacy. Except for when there's a spider in their room and they need somebody to kill it, As it stands right now, the book is not a series. However, depending on how well the book performs, it may very well become a series because there's certainly a lot of ideas kind of rattling around in here that I could turn it into a series. Right now, we do not have any mechanism in place for pre-order. However, as we get closer to release date, once we anchor down that release date, we will put it on our The Real Ed Pacheco author page for Facebook and the Real Ed Pacheco Instagram page with it. Jenna Marie and the Spider for Teens. Yes. But as it stands right now, we're looking at probably July 1st. Did this experience bring you and your girls closer? Sounds like lots of fun and laughs. Did they have any input? Do they think you're cool now? Okay, so my girls got a big chuckle out of it. I would show them some of the drawings. They really didn't have too much feedback because no matter what you do, you're never cool when they're preteens or teens. Their friends may say you're cool. My daughter's college friends love me. But you're just never cool. There's nothing you could do. You could be the president of the United States, and they'd be like, "Great, now I got to have Secret Service detail follow me around." Yeah. Like, there's no cool factor ever, I don't think. Charlie, can you ask him what's the most difficult thing with writing a book, beginning with the inception and the process? Okay, so it was difficult for me because this started out as a song that I made up for my children. The song is 4 lines long, and it's actually in the book. I will not sing it for 2 reasons. Well, for more than 2 reasons, but 2 reasons here is, 1, I don't want to give away what the song is. And 2, I think we would lose a lot of viewers very quickly if I started to sing. I am not Johnny Mathis, and I'm certainly not Bruno Mars. So singing will not happen on here. But
maybe maybe we can get Chops Turner to sing it for you.
You know, it's funny you mention that, but there's actually a gentleman, I believe it's a gentleman out of Canada, who his job is to write theme music for children's books. And we're actually have him on our list of people that we're going to be talking with, that he might actually be able to write theme music for the book and possibly use the lyrics that I already have down.
Yeah.
But for me, the hard part was to answer, I think it was Michael's question, was to take this song that I've had rattling in my head for 20 some odd years and draw it into a character situation that was related. Well, thank you very much. And, you know, I'll tell you what, once I get the books, we'll meet up, and then after you buy the books, I will sing.
Yes, my man.
Yeah. Again, because I don't want to give away the whole core of the book at this point. But it's a kind of a very smooth. I always sang the song in a kind of very smooth, jazzy kind of tone. But you know, it's up to interpretation. You know, if you want to sing it in an octave, go for it. If you wanted to try and wrap it up, or you know, make it show tune-ish or whatever, that's you. I mean, that's whatever your child is most comfortable for. If you're going for the laughs with your kid and you want to sing it like an opera star, go for it. I will not be offended. It's a universal song, so sing it however you want. I'm sure, you know, maybe after the book gets released and people start doing this, maybe we can start like a so you think you can sing kind of thing on our Facebook page, where people will submit their interpretation of the song. I think that would be hysterical.
I like that idea.
See how people sing it out, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, yeah, I think that'd be a good time.
We're just about end of our time here, Ed. I actually, what I want to do is I want to first thank you for another inspirational story on the Really Charlie podcast. And it actually is pushing me a little bit to finish maybe one or two of my books that are on the shelf, and get mines out there also. So I want to at least, you know, today wanting you on the podcast was good, but now I got something else out of it that is going to inspire me to get, you know, two of my books out there. So I really, really appreciate you, the listeners, the viewers that we have there. I mean, tremendous amount of comments, good questions.
Yeah,
even your mom.
Even your guest appearance by mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I really appreciate you having me on tonight. I think this is a great way to kick off a lot of exposure about the book and the process. I encourage people to, you know, follow us at The Real Ed Pacheco on both Facebook and Instagram. fuzzybearpress.com should be up within the next month or so. You know, I try to post little tidbits about the book here and there. And so if you follow us on Facebook, you know, you may very well find that one day there's an announcement that the book is dropping maybe a month earlier, or maybe 2 weeks earlier, or, you know, maybe we'll be at a signing somewhere once we get beyond this terrible crisis that we're in with COVID-19. It's taken so many people, and, you know, it seems like over the past 6 weeks or so, I know at least 3 or 4 people who were very special to me in one way or another, who are just, you know, just aren't there anymore. And it's not fair.
No.
So, you know, I would encourage people to, if they're eligible, get vaccinated if you're able to. wear your masks, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and kiss your kids goodnight, and tuck them in and read them a good book, especially in July.
Exactly. And
So
just like Ed said, like I said, mask those beautiful faces, hand sanitize your hands, wash your hands, stay safe, keep yourself safe, and I love you guys. Ed, I love you. We got to do this again.
Charlie, thank you so much.
Maybe
I appreciate
maybe
you.
doing a live. Yeah, we do a live broadcast podcast somewhere. Maybe at a book signing or something. But
Absolutely.
I'm always here for you. Even if you let
it.
me know short notice, I'll definitely be there for you.
No, I appreciate it, Charlie. CP, man, you go back a long time. I appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody that came out tonight and watched us. Feel free to share this. I think they can share this, right? This is actually my first podcast. I've never done a podcast. I don't think I've even watched a podcast before. So this is super cool for me. I'm kind of geeked out here. But if there's a way to, if there's a way to share this, I ask people to share this. The more referrals and friends that we get on our page, the more successful, obviously, the book release will be, and we can get the word out there. Incidentally, last thought for me: instead of giving people cards for like baby showers, birthdays, give a children's book and write a message in that book, in the cover, that child will be able to carry with them for 10, 20 years. Every time they open that book, especially as they get older, they'll say, Grandma gave me this book for my first birthday, or Auntie gave me this book for my second birthday, or my godmother gave me this book when I was baptized. Books are an amazing gift, and they're so much better and long-lasting than a card ever is. So, give the gift of reading. Really, really, really beneficial. My book or any book, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I really do.
CP, you're the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
You also, man. You stay safe, and
thank you.
I'll keep in touch.
All right, take care. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
All right. That was Ed Pacheco, author of Little Lamb Shenanigans. Definitely very, very interesting book, interesting story. The man is heartfelt no matter what he does, and I hope that you all get the book, support him. This is definitely one of fine citizens, residents of this fine city that we have, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get my signed copy, put it next to my books, and also read it to my grandchildren. Cannot wait. So thank you very much for the support. I'll be back on Saturday with topics going to be Let's Talk About It. Two young people active in the community from Rhode Island to Cape Cod, and they're going to be speaking with me as a co-host, and I can't wait for that show also. But today is about Ed Pacheco and the Little Lamb Shenanigans. Make sure you get your copy. God bless. Have a good night.